Yo, what's going on, guys? Versal here, and today I'm be doing a Dinosaur deck profile for post Infinite Forbidden. It's been probably around like a month, a little over a month since I did a Dino deck, so I figured it'd be a good time to do one. I try to drop one like once a month, but if you guys want to see like some other Dino related content like more often, let me know in the comments what type of videos you'd like to see, and I could try to do that. Since I know a lot of people that watch my channel are mostly here just for Dino stuff, so yeah, definitely let me know what type of videos you'd like to see, and I could try to do that. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, definitely do that now as well, so you don't miss out on any future videos. And if you're interested in this Dinosaur playmat or these sleeves, check out finalsaga.de. And if you decide to buy anything, use my code Versal10 for 10% off your order. Helps me directly. They have other like binders, sleeves, deck boxes, mats over there as well. And they have like this anime Orca set too, which comes with like these gold-plated god cards. Then it has like the decks for each character as well. So it's pretty cool. Got like the anime sleeves, the deck boxes with the characters on them, and like the art on the inside. So pretty cool product. If you're into this kind of stuff, definitely check it out. So with that being said, let's get right into the profile. So as far as Infinite Forbidden goes with this deck, the main thing that this deck wants to play from that set is the Fiend Smith cards. Obviously, those cards are extremely powerful. They're good in pretty much every deck since they decided to make the engine have no restrictions whatsoever for I don't know what reason. But yeah, those cards are good in this deck just as they are in pretty much every other deck. Lets you go into an Appaloosa before you commit to your Dino combo. You can make a Link 2 and a Beatrice to dump a Misk to get you to your Dino combo if you have like a baby in hand as well. Or you could just use it as like something you could pivot to if you get disrupted and have two bodies on board. It's up to you, like assemble some type of board presence similar to how Verte used to be. So the engine's just ridiculous. If you can get your hands on it, or if you're playing just online only, I would definitely recommend trying it. I was planning on buying the engine, but the pre-sales at like reasonable prices, quote unquote, they sold out really fast, and now the engine's looking absurdly expensive, and I'm not sure I want to really spend that much. It's like 400 or more just to play a format that doesn't look like it's going to be very good in my opinion. So I'm probably just gonna skip it for now and then see what the ban list does. I'm hoping it's a big ban list since they're making us wait so long for it, and if that ban list doesn't fix the game, then it's another conversation we gotta have, but save that for when it happens. But for now, just get straight back to the dinos for the time being and just play what I feel like playing when I want to play it. So this list is going to be 44 cards at the moment. You could cut it down. I'm going to talk about some of the things that I'm not sure if I want to keep playing or not, but talk about that when I get there. So started off, we got like the usual engine cards, the monsters. None of this has really changed. Misk, Kaito, this could be Rex, doesn't really matter. Meteor's Frost, 2 Conductor, and Pink. It's the same ratios as pretty much every other video, so it's not really too much to talk about here. For the consistency spells, we got 3 Prosperity as usual, 3 Fossil Dig, 3 Ground Xeno. This is like one of the few extenders the decks have, so it's okay as a starter too. It got a lot worse when Baron got banned, but it is what it is. I go back and forth with 2 and 3 with this, but I want to take a more heavy engine approach with this list, since I think with the meta of Infinite Forbidden, it's like Fiend Smith, Snake Eyes, and Fiend Smith Ubel, which are the best decks in my opinion. Those decks are like functionally FTKing you pretty much, so going second is going to be like near impossible game 1 anyway, so figured might as well go like a heavier engine approach so you can win more when you do go first, and then you can kind of post side in a bunch of targeted stuff and then hope for the best. But going second's really hard in this format, so it kind of is what it is. That's why I'm not a huge fan of it. It's just kind of dice rolly at that point. We got 3 Lost World and Terraforming. So just playing more Lost World since I think Droll is going to be an extremely popular card. That's why I'm also playing Crown Xeno at 3, because the combos that have, like, if you start with Ground plus Baby, you can play through Droll decently. If you have Lost World plus Ovi, even after like you use Terraforming to search Lost World or Fossil Dig to search an Ovi, you can still establish like Lars Dolka with either one of those. So I think it's good to have more answers to at least making some type of ward through Droll, since I do expect that to be one of the most played hand traps. Whether somebody's committing to a hand trap strategy or a board breaker strategy, I think you'll see Droll in their deck. So, and then I'm playing Terraforming for another reason as well, which I'll talk about right after this. We got the 2 pills. So that's it for the engine spells. For the like sub engines, playing the 2 Nemesis cards. This is something I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep or not, because they're like kind of bricks, and you're playing a decent amount of bricks those already. So I don't know if I want to keep them in because they aren't very good into Droll either. If you like open the corridor, it's fine. Like you don't care about Droll at that point. You just get to summon the Colossus for free. But the flag, it's a little awkward. So I don't know. I think these cards are still really good for when you're doing like your combos, whether it's the like inferior combos, like with Lost World especially. A lot of the time you're comboing either with like 1 less baby, which is like the body that you're lacking with some of those inferior combos, or if you're getting hand trapped and then you have to pivot to something else, you end up with like the 2 level 4s and the Archosaur a lot. So having these in the deck and being able to go Banshee instead lets you end on a much bigger end board. But you could just opt to not play these and just go for like SP rank 4 Conductor as well, which is like not terrible. But for now, I'm just gonna keep these in, see how it goes, and then if I don't like them anymore, I'll just cut them. Then the next little engine, these over here. We got the Kashtira engine, playing 2 Fenrir, 2 Unicorn, 1 Planet to go to Terraforming, and 1 Birth. So I think this engine's really good. It's not good into Droll if you use these as your first search, but you can just not use them as your first search and then it doesn't play into Droll. If you have like one of these and you have like a Dino hand that is going to lose to Droll regardless, you can start with searching with these to check for Droll. So if you do get Drolled, you'd rather get Drolled on one of these than like commit your Dino cards just to get Drolled and not be able to do anything anyway. So I think that's a positive. This engine can just eat hand traps as well in general, especially Unicorn. Like if you're going first and you summon a Fenrir, I don't think people are going to be scared of it really. But if you summon a Unicorn, like people are going to throw imperms and stuff at that for sure, I think a lot of the time, as opposed to the Fenrir. So I'm opting to play 2 of this. I think the 3 card combos, when you have like a Kashtira card, a Dino, and a Lost World, it's much better to have Unicorn, since you get the Birth and then you could just Birth summon the Unicorn back later on and end on that. So that's really nice to have. Birth is really good to help give you a grind game that Dinos doesn't really have. When you play the Nemesis cards, you do have a much better grind game than when you don't play them. So between the Nemesis cards and Birth, you do have a lot of follow-up potential in this deck. Between putting Mist back, you can get it back on the field as well, so it's not like in your deck. Birth, it's just a lot of extra things to help you make those turn 3 pushes. And Birth is a nice disruption as well. Just especially if you get hit by a board breaker game 1, this can kind of help you a little bit. It's probably not going to be enough, but it's there. The cool thing about Unicorn in this format too as well, if you end on this, you can pretty much turn off their entire Fiend Smith engine by just banishing like the Link 1. So I think Unicorn's really good in this format too. I think this engine's really nice in general, just to give this deck just those extra bodies to help carry you when your Dino combos aren't going through or if you're bricking. And it just helps you with the grind game. gives you a little more consistency since you're opening up Lost World combos that otherwise wouldn't be there since you're just not getting extra bodies otherwise. So I like this engine a lot in the deck. Probably keep playing it. Even if I get the Fiend Smith cards, I'd probably just like cut down on some of the other stuff like the Nemesises and some of like the other engine cards and just focus on like Kashtira plus Fiend Smith and just have like those supplementary engines kind of do a lot of the heavy lifting. For the non-engine, there's not really a lot of space since the Kashtira is kind of like your non-engine. So I'm just playing Call By and 3 Dark Ruler. I figure Dark Ruler is like the best singular card that you can have to try to have a chance going second. The main issue with this card right now is the Fiend Smith Fusion, the Desiree, is pretty much like a hot red. So whether it's the YUGIOH deck, they have like the Unchained Trap they could chain to your Dark Ruler and then chain the Desiree to negate Dark Ruler. So, and then with the Snake Eyes deck, some of them are playing like Black Gold Laughs that they dump off Beatrice that could chain. They could just have like an extra Wanted face down that they could chain. So there's a lot of ways to dodge this card, but if they don't have like a hand that can comfortably end on the Desiree, which probably isn't really going to be uncommon, but if they don't, then this card can put in a lot of work versus a lot of other decks. It can be very good, like the other random things you might see. But as like a singular non-engine card, I'm not sure there's really a better card to play than this. It's not ideal either way, because when you're playing like these type of board breakers, because of Desiree, you really want to see 2 specific targeted board breakers. So, but game 1, like I said, going second's going to be pretty much like, it's not going to be good no matter what. So that's just kind of where I'm at with the format in this deck. So that's it for the main deck. For the extra, got the 1 Colossus, Dolka, Lagia, Lars, got the Banshee, Abyss Dweller, and Dugares. These are all like pretty normal, mandatory, I'd say. The Dugares is nice to be able to beat over like Towers monsters as well as sometimes just going for game. So I'd still like to play it. The Anima, the Reprodocus. This is nice for when you're siding the Ishkatos or Protoss locks. And then sometimes when you're going for like the Lars combos, you just need a Link 2 that you can make under the Xeno lock, and this works for that, so it's good to have. SP and Apo, pretty, good cards. Then we got the Donner or the Cerberus. This is for like the Lost World combos and you just have like a dino and another body. The difference between these two is with Cerberus, you're discarding a card and you get to keep the body. And with Donner, you're tributing it, so you're losing the body. So both of these have like situations where one's better than the other. I'm not really sure which one I want to stick with yet. But they both accomplish the same thing pretty much. It's just like, how do you want to go about doing it? One cool thing with the Cerberus is like if you open multiple cash cards, like you could special summon Unicorn, and then when you're doing your combo, like you could discard Fenrir, and then you could bird summon back Fenrir if you'd rather end on Fenrir instead of Unicorn. So that's like something to consider, but I think a lot of the time you don't really want to discard a card, but you are playing a lot of like cards that you don't really need, so you could just get away with either one. Then for some of like the more optional cards, we have Link Spider. This just helps you recover from Nib a lot easier, especially when you're doing some of the combos that like might not be as good into it. Pentastag, this is just to help you end games. You definitely don't need to play this. This is like cuttable, but it's like fine. Then the Abyss Actor. If you don't know why this is there, I did show this in the last Nemesis video. This is just basically a Link 2 that you can make after changing something to a Fiend or Reprodocus, and then it lets you pop the baby. So when you, like, it doesn't seem like that's good to do, but in practice, like when you pop in the baby, you're getting your miss back out of deck, and without doing that, you wouldn't be able to get 2 level 4s to make a rank 4 either. So you're getting yourself a rank 4 and better follow-up, and then you could just use this to make an Appaloosa or an SP, whatever. So it's pretty good. Definitely like playing the card. If you don't want to play like any of these, like Pentastag is the most cuttable, I think. You could have to play Baguska. I think this card's probably worth including, but I'm not sure what I want to cut for it yet. I think in this meta, if you're not playing the Fiend Smith cards, one of like the things to do is play Shifter. So this card's good against Shifters, so you can end on this and hope it's enough. No deck can really cleanly out this card without non-engine right now, without committing a lot of cards, so I think it's really good. If I wasn't playing the Nemesis cards, I would definitely play this. And then sometimes when you're going for like SP Conductor and a rank 4, you might opt to go for this instead of an Evolzor, since it's a lot harder to deal with. But not sure if I want to play it or not yet, but that's definitely one that's to be considered. Then another one you could play is the Gigantazowler. So this card's like interesting because like with ground plus baby, the combos are kind of like fragile now, since you can't really go for Misk unless you have like an extra dino in hand. But if you do have that extra dino in hand, something you could do is like use the ground Xeno, pop baby, OV, add Misk, and then you could use the ground Xeno to fusion summon this by banishing the extra dino in your hand and the Frostosaurus. And then this lets you add the baby back from grave, so you can use Misk and then go into your combo that way while you're protected by Misk. It plays better into Nib, but in my opinion, Droll is going to be a much more prevalent card, so it's kind of like you got to pick and choose, because either way, when you're doing ground baby that way, you're going to lose to like Imperms and Ashes all the same if they do it at the right time. So I look at it more of a Droll versus Nib thing, and I think Droll is going to be super popular, and adding Meteorus off the ground Xeno is always better into Droll, so I'd probably rather just do that. So I don't think this is worth playing really either. So it's mainly the Baguska that I'd want to fit in here, but that's going to be it for that. So the side deck's like, the format hasn't even really started yet, so can't really tell you like exactly what side deck to play. It's always locals dependent too, but I think to go with the Dark Rulers, there's two approaches you can take. You could just play a bunch of board breakers, and then like that's fine. Then there's the FTK type decks you have to worry about, whether it's like Gimmick Puppet, Branded, etc. So that's something you have to consider. But if you want to take like a board breaker approach, you just want the ones that pair well together. So to go with the Dark Rulers, we played Droplets, Evenlies. You can play like some board wipes like Storm Duster. These are like flexible. And then you want Drolls no matter what, I think. Sometimes this can just end turns, or just make your opponent's end boards a lot smaller in general, and then these board breakers can kind of get a lot more value at that point. For going first, playing the Ashatos, I think you really need an answer to like the Dark Rulers and stuff, especially because like I feel like hand traps are going to end up being more popular still, but some people are going to definitely try the board breaker approach because hand traps sometimes just feel like they don't work. So I think this is a good answer to that, since you can make this in your combo. Another answer that you could play is like Judgments or Anti-Spell. But I don't know if you have room for this, really. If you want to like just hope that the Ashatos is enough. It's kind of like a decision that you have to make. Like if you want to just go with this type of approach and then try to make your going first a little stronger, you could just throw in the two Judgments as well. But otherwise, you just kind of got to pick and choose. If you don't want to do the board breaker approach and you want to play like more hand traps, you could keep the Drolls in. Then you could play like Ashes, maybe Nibs, Imperms, and then you want to throw in something for like the FTKs. So you could do like 3 Bestials or 3 DD Crows. I think the Bestials are nice versus like the Fiend Smith stuff. And then like both of these are good against like Branded and whatnot as well. The cool thing about Magnemite sometimes is since the Ashatos is a dragon, you could keep this in going second against some decks and then like search it with the Magnemite and use it as like a board breaker. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, otherwise like these cards are just pretty good. They're just big bodies as well. They do conflict with the Kashtira cards though, so keep that in mind. And then DD Crows, I think this card, it's similar to the Bestials, but I think it gives you a little more value into like something like Gimmick Puppet, because this is like one of the few cards that can stop the Gimmick Puppet FTK along with Droll. Like, you really want these 6 if you're expecting Gimmick Puppet for sure. So it's just something to consider. And then another card you could also consider with like one of these type of approaches is Phantasme. This is mainly for the link decks, obviously, but it's pretty good into the top decks right now, I think, to kind of help sculpt your hand. You could either use it with like the Droll, like Nibiru type cards, or you could just use it with a bunch of board breakers. It's kind of just, it's hard to really say what the best thing to do is right now, since the format hasn't really started yet, but, and obviously it's all locals dependent, since a lot of you are probably just playing locals anyway with dinos, so just kind of have to just see what your locals is doing and then go from there. But these are like the best just like cards in general that I would like say to play, and just kind of just pick and choose based on what you expect to play, and kind of just build your side to where the cards pair well together is pretty much what I'm getting at. So like if you want to go to the board breaker approach, you want to just play at least 12 of them post side so you can see 2 more reasonably, because you do need to see 2 versus the top decks, otherwise it doesn't really do much. So it's just, these are all like the best options, I'd say. Just kind of go from there. But that's gonna be it for the video. I'll do like a combo, some of the combos in a different video if you guys want to see that, so let me know. I can show you how like the Kashtira Lost World combos work and whatnot. But yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.